Welcome to Kinston. Enhance your calm and connect. KPD CONNECT. Continued outreach network for engagement, community and trust. Together.
Good evening, everyone. When we look at crime statistics, it's easy to get lost in the numbers. But raw data points without context are just noise. They don't show us the truth, they don't show direction, and they certainly don't show value until we add context. By weaving individual incidents together, we transform disconnected data into actionable enforcement for the greater good of Kinston. Let's talk about how crime actually operates on our streets. Violent crime doesn't happen in a vacuum. It is almost always funded by the low-level property crimes that our residents see every single day. Think of stolen property, laptops, tools, shoplifted goods, as the liquid currency of the street. This is the cash for guns pipeline. Stolen goods are quickly traded for cash, which is then immediately used to acquire illegal firearms or fuel the local narcotics trade. When property crime goes unchecked, it builds what we call street equity, the foundational funds necessary to escalate into the violent crimes, like shootings and robberies, that keep our neighbors indoors. In Kinston, our enforcement strategy is shifting to disrupt this exact pattern. Stopping a minor larceny today means preventing a major shooting tomorrow. To understand where we are right now, let's look at our most recent data from Q1 of 2026. Look closely at these numbers. Kinston is actually getting safer regarding violence. Our 13% reduction in violent crime is actively outpacing the state of North Carolina's 11% reduction. That is real progress. However, 82% of Kinston's overall crime is non-violent. While that means the vast majority of our city is safe, the remaining 18% of violent crime is what our department targets most aggressively. And right now, property crime is our primary pressure point, driven heavily by motor vehicle thefts and breaking and enterings. Because we know property crime funds violence, if we leave this 25% spike in property crime unchecked, we must expect and anticipate a resurgence in violent crime numbers down the road. We are using this data not to celebrate a drop in violence, but to pivot our enforcement to smother the property crimes feeding it. Now let's look at the geographic breakdown of Kinston to see how we are applying this data to disrupt specific local patterns. Where do you think or feel we have the most property crime? Walmart? Now look down Queen and Heritage. Lots of in and out business. Lots of commerce. Let's zoom in downtown. The common crimes here are retail larceny and motor vehicle break-ins. To disrupt this pattern, KPD is doing more than just driving by with flashing lights. We are increasing area checks and patrol presence in these commercial corridors. Simultaneously, we are upskilling our investigations division by training our officers to treat retail theft not as isolated incidents, but as organized networks. We can cut off the flow of stolen goods before they are flipped for cash. There are also things that add to our administration. The peak of reporting and calls for service sit on a Monday and regularly occur during office hours. After hours, officers are responding to alarm calls, which on average, 65% of all calls in Kinston are phone calls or alarm calls. Sector 145, Medical Financial District, think of where all the banks are, or where paper changes hands. We call it the fraud specialist. With a 40% concentration in financial crimes, this is the city's white-collar crime reporting hub. Next is what we identify as major friction points. Red areas or social friction hubs. You can assume that because of the number of people living in these sectors, we see a heavy concentration of quality of life complaints and higher rates of crimes against persons. To disrupt this, standard patrols are not enough. We are deploying specialized units and additional resources directly into these neighborhoods. Our objective is to train our officers to aggressively de-escalate volatile human friction points on the spot and build direct pathways to safely divert individuals to emergency crisis and mental health services before a situation boils over into violence. We have seen success in the high-traffic area around Walmart, Sector 701, not a property crime hub by stats. The data shows this area experiences high traffic, frequent verbal disputes, and low physical battery. Our enforcement response here relies heavily on targeted security partnerships to maintain a continuous, reassuring presence. Building on that, we know a reassuring continuous presence can completely change the stats in any neighborhood. Our actions as police have a ripple effect through the community. That brings us directly to Sector 481, aka Mitchell-Wooten. Right now, this sector experiences the city's highest rates of vandalism and property damage. A few important things about reporting is that, for the most part, these offenses are reported after the fact and not in progress. The high rate of damage may be a physical marker of the broken window theory or effect. When a neighborhood shows visible, physical signs of neglect, or when we see a broken window that is not quickly repaired, it sends a silent signal that nobody is watching, and crime quickly moves in to fill the void. To break this pattern, enforcement alone won't fix a neighborhood's mindset. We work with local housing authorities on work order backlogs and youth programs to give our young people real ownership of their community. By fixing physical damage quickly and adding structural deterrence, we change the environment entirely, making it a place where crime simply cannot thrive. Then we have our all-rounder, the legacy hotspots that consistently experience high vandalism and property damage, aggravated assault, domestic disturbances, and paper service. The theory goes that when individuals looking to commit crime see a marked car exactly where they intended to act, the pattern is broken before it even starts. Sometimes it is only deferred to later. When we add all of these individual sectors together over the last 5 years, we get a clear macro picture. Look at this chart. Our violent crime peaks are shrinking. In 2025, strategic enforcement crushed violent crime to a 5-year low. With Q1 2026 already down another 13%, our trajectory into 2027 is clear. We are permanently lowering the ceiling on violence in Kinston. So I hope that helps you understand how we at KPD actually think about crime and approach it using the information, trends, and data points. We operate under a strategy called problem-oriented policing, or POP. POP means we look beyond the 911 call. We don't just show up, arrest a person, and leave. We fix the underlying problem. If a dark alleyway is consistently where drugs are being sold, we don't just arrest the dealer. We get the city to fix the streetlights. We cut down the overgrowth that provides cover. We remove the environmental opportunity. This is proactive posturing. We use our data to put officers where the crime is going to happen, not just where it happened yesterday. But our data is only as good as the ground truth we get from you. When a citizen reports a suspicious car or a broken streetlight via eyewitness at kpdconnect.us, that data point enters our system and directly shifts where we send our next patrol. This brings us to why we are here tonight. This is a call to action, because disengagement is dangerous for everyone. When a community pulls back, it creates a wall of silence. When officers enter a neighborhood where no one will speak to them, they are operating completely in the dark. That lack of information dramatically increases tension, heights the risk of accidents, and increases the likelihood of escalation during a crisis. A community that stops reporting the small things creates a safety gap, a vacuum. And history tells us exactly what fills an empty, silent vacuum: more crime, more fear, and more violence. We cannot afford silence. Transparency is not a one-way street. We are 100% committed to this community, showing you our shortcomings. In return, we need your voice to guide us to disrupt these patterns effectively. To kick off our Q&A and initiate our community engagement program tonight, first challenge. Looking at the data we shared tonight, does this match what you actually see from your own front porch? What worries you the most? And second, which specific streets or corners still feel unsafe to you? The Connect session is now yours.